It's Sunday night, April 27th at 7 o'clock at night, and that means it is time for the TechEducator Podcast. Welcome to tonight's show, episode number 12. My name is Jeff Bradbury, and you are listening to the weekly show teaching you how to become a better educator using technology in your classroom. Want to know what Twitter is? Want to know how to build a PLN? Want to know what a hashtag is? This is the show for you. So sit right back and join me and my co-host as we discuss all things technology on the...
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the TechEducator Podcast, coming to you live each and every Sunday night at 7 p.m. Eastern with your hosts, Jeff Herb, John Samuelson, Sam Patterson, and Jeff Bradbury.
Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the 12th episode of the TechEducator Podcast, happening live every single Sunday night at 7 o'clock, right here on TeacherCast.tv. Want to introduce to the show my wonderful co-hosts. I want to introduce Mr. Sam Patterson. Sam, how are you today?
I'm doing great, Jeff. Happy to be here. How are you doing?
Doing well. What's going on these days on the Patui Network? You have a new website, don't you?
We have a brand new website that is so full of super awesome, I can hardly express it. We're at patui.org. And this week on TweetChat, we are going to be talking about how iTunes University can be useful for all grade levels. And we've got Rebecca Wildman who will be joining us for that.
That's great. And talk to us a little bit about the website. What can we find there? And what's so special about it these days?
Well, what's so special about it? It is a super awesome WordPress-based site that the amazing folks over at TeacherCast have helped us put together. And it has chat topics, chat archives, blog posts by people who have participated in chat, videos from past Google Hangout style chats, and a bunch of other stuff that I can't remember off the top of my head. But it's also got ducks, and they spit.
Spitting ducks is a good thing to have on a new website, especially a new website. Thank you for being here tonight on the show. We're going from spitting ducks to Ohio. I want to introduce Mr. Jeff Herb. Jeff, how are you today?
For some reason, Jeff, you want me to live in Ohio, even though I live in Chicago. But that's okay. I mean, that's all.
Chicago, Ohio.
They're the same. They're all the same. You know, to somebody in New York, they're the same. Talk to us a little bit about what's going on these days in instructional technology.
Absolutely. Over at Instructional Tech Talk, last week's episode focused on the push to kind of try and go paperless in your classroom. We also talked about several communication tools for the classroom, including a couple of new apps that seem to be pretty cool, and I wanted to share about that. And we also talked about the idea of being adaptable, tailoring our lessons to be more adaptable when new technology does come out. And that was kind of a fun topic to talk about as well. Excuse me. In addition, this upcoming week, I'm excited to talk with you, Jeff. We did a co-branded podcast all about how you can start podcasting in your classroom. And that was a really fun show, and that's going to be releasing this week on Instructional Tech Talk as well.
Nice. And that was podcast number 18 for you, I believe.
That's correct. You got
it. Your podcast is growing really, really huge. I was looking over there. You're still listed in iTunes under new and noteworthy.
I know. That's pretty cool. I'm pretty excited about that. It disappeared off there for a little bit, and now it's coming back, and I've just been really, really impressed and thrilled and humbled by how much people have been listening to it and giving feedback, and it's been really fun to watch that grow. So thank you. If anyone's listening or watching that has listened to it, really appreciate that.
Also joining us from the great state of Texas, John Samuelson. How are you today?
Hey, I'm okay. How are you doing?
I'm doing well. Now, you recently went to an ed camp out there, didn't you?
I did. I went to Ed Camp Waller, which is a booming metropolis, suburb 30 miles northwest of Houston.
Nice. And
by booming, I mean that they have no Wi-Fi and no cell signal whatsoever.
and were you a participant? Did you lead a session? What was going on there?
I actually just set out this one and kind of just networked with people. But after yesterday, what we did was I took one of the people that kind of caught my attention, and that was Chris Kessler. And I took Jake Duncan, who is Duncan Bilingual on Twitter, and I actually just went ahead and recorded a Techlandia and just got their thoughts. Chris Kessler does Teach Like a Pirate, and he did a good session on that. And then he also does the Genius Hour, which is kind of similar to what Jeff Herb has talked about, the 20% thing on Instructional Tech Talk. So I was like, oh, all right, I get it. It's the same thing. So I talked to him, and that's what we taped. And in the upcoming week, we are going to do a administrator. This will be exciting for me, an administrator chat where we're going to have a bunch of people on there. We're going to have Tim Lauer, Tyler Amadon from Colorado, Principal Jamie J. from Wisconsin, my friend David Friedman, who's a principal in Las Vegas. And you know Kurt Rees is a principal, so he's going to keep them all in line, and we're going to talk administrator talk.
Nice. Very, very cool. It's nice to see everybody doing some wonderful things in their worlds, whether it be Chicago or Ohio. I know in the TeacherCast world, yesterday I went to Tab Camp, which was a great unconference happening in Allentown, New Jersey, and we got a chance to talk to the people there a little bit about how to do iMovie. We had about 20 or so educators running around the hallways with iPads and tripods, teaching them how to make iMovie trailers. It was amazing. And then we actually broke out and we did an iPad app show and tell, where we talked a little bit about what our favorite apps were and how we used, and I showed off some of the software and some of the hardware that I bring around and showed them how we do the broadcasting and stuff. So it was a great time at Tab Camp, and I'm looking forward to this week. TeacherCast is actually doing 2 podcasts with a great company you might have heard of called Samsung, name dropping, and they actually have been partnering up with school districts around the world to bring Samsung technology and notebook computers into different schools. So I have 2 schools coming on. One show's going to be on Wednesday, one show's going to be on Thursday, and I think we're even going to be broadcasting those live. So 2 great episodes coming up from TeacherCast. Now, Jeff, we recently just did a TechEducator podcast all about Twitter. And we talked a little bit about how to get onto Twitter, how to use Twitter, but we really haven't explored fully the capabilities of Twitter. And one of the things that we decided to talk about today was Twitter chats. Now, before we introduce our 2 guests, could you give us a brief overview of what a Twitter chat is?
Sure, I'd be happy to do that. The really short of it is that different groups of people have, saw a need for educators to get together. And one of the easy ways to do that with Twitter is through using the hashtag. And so what people have done is put together a night a week for their particular hashtag chat. At a specific time, they get together and they all tweet to a specific hashtag. And usually it's for about an hour. And there's questions that have been put together. And there's a moderator that handles the, asking of those questions and interacting with the people that are taking place are participating in the Twitter chat itself. And so what it really is just a conglomerate of educators that have a similar interest in whatever that hashtag is focused on, and they get together for about an hour a week and have some great conversations about some of the things that are pertinent to that hashtag.
Now, there's a lot of popular Twitter chats that are out there, but one of my favorites is actually a chat that happens right after our Tech Educator show at 8 o'clock on Sundays, and that's the 21st Century EdChat. And we're very lucky today to have the 2 founders and moderators of the 21st Century EdChat. I want to welcome to the show Miss Jill Thompson. Jill, how are you today?
Good, how are you?
Doing well. Talk to us a little bit about yourself.
My name is Jill Thompson, and I work as an instructional technology specialist for the Charlotte-Mecklenburg school system in North Carolina. And I also run my own education consulting company called Edulum.
Nice, nice. Welcome to the show.
Thanks.
And we also have another moderator and the other co-creator of the 21st Century EdChat, Mr. David Prindle. David, how are you today? Welcome to the show.
I'm doing good. We finally got warm weather in Michigan.
Nice, nice. Well, we have a packed house here today. Let's see. We have 1, 2, 3, 4. We have 6 total people on the show. It is going to be a circus right here on the Tech Educator Podcast. David and Jill, let me open up with you. Talk to us a little bit about the 21st Century EdChat.
Okay, I'll start. Well, one day I was just doing all these different chats, and I started off with Flip Classroom. I started off with BYOT chat and 5th grade chat when I was a 5th grade teacher, and I just wanted one that kind of put all those together. And so I met David in Flip Chat, and I asked him, hey, what do you think if we start something called 21st Ed Chat and just have the people vote about what they want? And so it just blossomed from there.
Nice. Now, the neat part about using hashtags, and this show has a hashtag, it is @TechEducator, or the hashtag TechEducator. You can, of course, use the hashtag to communicate with us. So if you are watching tonight live at 7 o'clock on Sundays, and you're on TeacherCast.tv, you can use our hashtag TechEducator to ask a question of the panel. Now, one of the things that people ask all the time, and I'm just going to open this up, and whoever wants to answer, please do. How does one chat? How do we take everything that's going on Twitter and come up with a single strand? What are some of the ways that people are doing that? Feel free to jump on in.
I think it's just like Jill said, we created ours just to kind of combine everybody else's, but since I've been doing this chat, I started with Flip Class and then moved on with Jill here. I've kind of become addicted to chats. Sometimes I jump in on Sam's on is it Tuesday night, I think, and then Michigan Ed on Wednesday nights, and then Jill and I think have been invited a couple of times to Michigan or North Carolina admin, and so it's just kind of a fun place to go, and it's kind of topic specific, and I think it's nice that, you know, a couple of times I've been in admin chats, and I'm a teacher, and they like to hear our input, and it's just an easy way to get into a strand and just talk for an hour.
I think the thing. Oh, sorry.
No, go ahead, Jill.
I think the thing I like the best is that I can control my PD, so if I know I'm interested in a topic, I can just find that hashtag and then join that chat. So for a while in the beginning of the year, we were just launching BYOT in our district, so I was really following the BYOT chat because I wanted to learn as much as I possibly could about that. And then from there, I just differentiate my PD according to what my needs are.
Yeah, one of the nice things that I like about the Twitter chats is that, you know, I've gotten more involved in the state-based ones. So you said Michigan edchat, there's an IL edchat, there's one for California, there's one for almost every state, it seems. And, you know, despite not living in all these states, I still try and jump in on them because not only does it give you a little bit more accessibility or, you know, access to, I guess, some of the people that are in these states that you don't normally connect with, but some of the people you do connect with pretty often, and you kind of get a placeholder as to where they are in the world, and you kind of have more of a connection with them, knowing that, you know, they're talking with people from their location and they're able to talk about things that are location specific, and you can get a better understanding of how things are different from where you are on a normal basis. And I think that's been something that's really been fun for me, jumping into some of the state-based education chats, because it's amazing how things are really different from different states depending on what the state is pushing down on you. So that's been really fun for me lately.
Overall, I think that one of the real power of Twitter chats is that it takes you from having to ask for what you want. Oh, I want to follow this guy. I want to see what Jeff is saying, or I want to see what Jeff is saying, to actually looking at a topic instead of a person-based conversation where I want to follow this person. This allows you to say, I want to find out everything I can about this topic and talk with the people who are interested in this topic. And then from that, I always end up with probably 15 to 20 people out of any chat that I join that I end up following, because I've found new people who are interested in things I'm interested in. So when it comes to building my own personal learning network, I love chats because you can see who's interested, who's involved, who's active, and who's articulate.
Mm-hmm. Now, there's two questions that people usually ask about Twitter chats. The first one is how to join and how to participate, and the next one is how do you start a Twitter chat. Now, Sam, you've had some experience starting a Twitter chat. On Tuesday nights, you do the Patooey chat. Talk to us a little bit about how you started that.
That chat started out of a professional development need at my school. I saw that the teachers at my school needed to see how completely cool Twitter was, and the only way I could do that was by showing them a Twitter chat. So I actually started one with the idea that after our hour-long in-person professional development, they would be able to participate in this Twitter chat even if they weren't in the room. And what's amazing about Twitter is you can build something for people you think will attend, and then when they all go home anyway and leave you there alone, and you have the Twitter chat, people from all over the world show up. So what originally started as the Palo Alto Tech Using Educators shifted branding to the Pedagogy and Technology Tuesday chat, because my Palo Alto people just weren't showing up. But I had people from Tel Aviv to New Zealand to Venezuela showing up for the Pedagogy and Technology chat.
Jill, do you find that it was the same way when you guys started 21st Century EdChat? Were you trying to get people together and it wasn't the right group? Or how did you guys start to get a following for the 21st Century EdChat?
We promoted right off the bat, just did a heavy promotion for about 2 weeks before we started to launch it. And the first time I think we did pretty well. And I think because we had them voting about what they wanted to see, we had more buy-in.
My question is, how did you promote it?
We promoted it by starting a website. We started a Facebook page. We started an Edmodo page, and we just kept tweeting it out and kept just using what we already had built to our advantage, basically.
And how have you seen it grow? I mean, when you first started it, did you have like a couple of people that were there and you just kind of still powered through and had the conversation with the 2 or 3 people and just watch it grow week by week? Or how does that process kind of look?
Yeah, the first time we started, it was just mostly people from like our area, and now again we have people from Australia, and it's 10 in the morning over there, and then you have like the UK and Brazil and everything, so you have this international craziness. But I know that David can tell you more about the archiving of it all, because I know he's seen it grow, because we've had to keep switching how we've archived things because we keep getting bigger and bigger.
Yeah, I would like to hear about that, David. How are you doing it now? How did you start doing it, and how are you doing it now?
Well, we started with Storify, and that was fine, but what we found out is Storify has a limit. I think it cuts off at 800. And as our chat kind of exploded, and Jill and I were kind of surprised by we started in August, and by September, I had to find a different way to archive, and Brian Bennett put me onto this one that uses Google Spreadsheets that took it up to 1,500. But we exploded so fast and some topics were so big that its 1,500 tweet limit timed out halfway through the chat, and so I'd have to be archiving that and starting a new one at the same time. But now that they have a version 5, because the way Twitter changed their API, that now we can get up to 5,000. And one night, I forget what the topic was, but we had 2,000 or 3,000 tweets in an hour, and it held up. And then I just go and edit it that night and then post it the next day. And see if I can screen share what I use.
And while you're doing it, what are you posting on? Is it like a WordPress website or?
Yeah, we started with WordPress.com, and then I went to I self-hosted my own, and so I started using Bluehost, and so I have unlimited domains and unlimited space on there, and so now it's a self-hosted WordPress.org
Cool. And how was that transition for you?
I was a little scared at first, but Brian Bennett and Ben Rhymes kind of talked me through it, and then I got some help from Jeff here. That once you get it there and load it up, it's easier than people think. And let me see, I got the wrong site. My Mac is, and here's what we use. It's by Hootsuite, and it's pretty simple to use. It takes me at first when I did it, it took me about 15 minutes to set up, and now I can do it within 5 minutes, and it's all self-explanatory. It has a video if you want to watch it, and just written instructions, so it's pretty nice. And here, ours is already running.
And David, for those who are listening to the audio feed, can you talk us through what the site URL is?
Okay, it's kind of long. It's mashe.hoxsey, HAWKSEY.info. And then I think if he's got a Twitter archived, I'll put it in our chat window and you can tweet it out to people.
And of course, all of our show notes are going to be at TechEducatorPodcast.com/12. So all these links and our video archive for tonight is going to be on TechEducatorPodcast.com/12. Go ahead, David.
Okay, and here's what our archive looks like right now. This is the front page, but the archive will grab everything that's happened in the last week, which is kind of nice, but I don't archive the whole week. And so, here's something that was tweeted out about 4 minutes after the hour, and so it has our hashtag in it. And so I just, as you can see here, all I have to do is put our hashtag in there, and it grabs every tweet with that hashtag in it.
And did you say there was a limit to that?
5,000, but it's gone over 9,000. So
wow. Now, the interesting thing about doing so many tweets, there's a thing going around I saw on Twitter called Twitter jail. Is that, and I know obviously that's not a technical term, but has anybody experienced the concept of Twitter jail? Sam?
I've found that co-moderators can be a wonderful thing, because if I don't set up a co-moderator for my chat, the chances of me ending up in Twitter jail go way up. I ended up in Twitter jail twice last week, once with California Educators Chat, and I did have a co-moderator for that one, and then once on Tuesday, running Patui Chat, I actually landed in jail as I sent out the archive link at the end of the chat. So if you over chat in an hour, and I think it's somewhere around 100 messages in an hour, they land you in Twitter jail for some amount of time. It seems like it's about 2.5 to 3 hours for me at this point.
Yeah, has the sentence increased for repeat offenders?
Can you pay $200 and get out of jail?
Really short.
So so it's just a timed out, basically?
Yeah, if you're using one of the other clients, you get this cannot send tweet message, and if you go over into the Twitter actual program, it tells you that you've gone over the daily limit of tweets. Now, you can still send out direct messages, and you can still favorite things. So, you can kind of let people know that you still exist, but generally it's like sending messages to other people so they can send out messages about how you're locked in Twitter jail.
What a riot. Hey, before I forget, I wanted to bring up, we had a question. I know this is not necessarily on topic, but I didn't want to neglect the question that we had from our hashtag over the course of the week. I think his name is Ian, I believe. Let's just go with Ian. Yes, it is. He had a great question.
We will call him Ian.
The man formerly known as Ian.
Tim?
He said he's looking into starting a tech club at his school, and he was wondering if there's any internet resources on where to start with that. And I know this is out of left field, but I know if we don't say it now, I'll forget to bring it up again. So does anyone have a tech club or anything like that going on at their building that they could point Ian in the right direction?
No, but that's a great idea.
I know.
We had one. We had some tech kids that came in and just helped some of the teachers. Sometimes teachers just don't even check to see if it's plugged in. And so they went around and just kind of helped problem solve and troubleshoot. Plus then they were able to do some more of their creativeness and try new things. We also do a lot with Minecraft clubs that is more game-based learning, but we do have those as well.
Nice. Yeah, I think, it would be a really cool thing to be able to set up. And I think kids, I think Ian was kind of looking for like a hobbyist type thing where they're coming in, they're learning how to do podcasting and they're learning how, that kind of stuff. And they're just working on it together. And maybe they end up producing a show about something they have a common interest in. And we don't do that at our building, but I thought it was a really cool idea. And so I'll put his Twitter name in the chat here, and if anyone comes across anything, make sure we'll send it out to him. And Ian, thanks again for the question, and we'll get you some good resources.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Okay.
Thank you, Ian, for asking the question.
All right, back where we left off. Sorry.
Jeff, are you going to screen share that thing that you had on there earlier? I love that one.
Yeah, I'll pull it up. There was another archiving option, and it says 1,500 on here. That's not accurate. It is up to the 4,000, 5,000. They just never changed their site. I don't know why, but it's really easy. It's called searchhash.com, and you can put the hashtag in. You can put the dates if you want to search between so-and-so and so-and-so. I put in today's dates, 2013-04-28 for both, just as an example, and then the hashtag edchat, which will have 48 billion tweets to it. But you can hit search, and it gives you two options to get them. You can copy and paste off of the list that will load here in just a second. It's going to take a minute because I chose a insane hashtag. But it'll give you the whole list of tweets in reverse chronological order. And then if you want, you can click on here and it gives you a CSV output that can open in Excel. And what I do for, or have done for Patui, is load it in Excel, copy and paste, reorder it so that it does it in the normal succession for time, and just copy and paste that table right into WordPress, and WordPress does the rest. It knows how to format a table correctly, and it actually looks pretty nice. I also then have a plugin on my WordPress that will automatically recognize Twitter accounts. So if it's an @ and then Sam Patui, it will automatically link back to their Twitter account, which is pretty cool. And it will also automatically hyperlink any links that were shared in the Twitter chat as well. So it's pretty nice for people that go through the archive. They're able to see or get quick links to the people's Twitter profiles and to any links that were shared during it as well. So I just wanted to share that real quick.
And on a personal note, I'd like to know what that plugin is. So yeah,
I'll put that in the show notes too.
So I know on Tuesday nights we do the NJED, NJED hashtag chat, and we usually use Storify. And the nice part about Storify is there is an embed code on the Storify. So by using that simple embed code onto a WordPress site or any other kind of a website for that matter, it'll actually do all the work for you, and it gives you everything. It's all picture based. It all has, just like you'd be seeing it in a normal Twitter client. Everything is right there through Storify, and we'll have the links again to that, TechEducatorPodcast.com/12. Now, speaking of Twitter clients, one of the other questions that people come up to us and ask is, how do I do Twitter? What clients are out there? What apps do I use to do Twitter? So let me open this one up to John. I'll start with John first. But John, what apps do you use for surfing Twitter? Do you use the normal Twitter app, or is there something else out there that you like?
I do. I'm really strange that way. I actually use the normal Twitter client, and it's not a terrific way to do things. But that's usually what I use. Is I usually just use the regular old Twitter client, and if I don't, and I can see that Sam's putting up what I was going to say, I do use TweetDeck, but I think that TweetDeck is going away very quickly. But I do like the TweetDeck for just like the columns and going through. Matt Gomez has been trying to get me to use Hootsuite, and I know that Hootsuite is by far his favorite, and he has a bunch of different Twitter accounts. So I know that that's the one, his one of choice, and we have talked about that at the last two Ed Camps, at Ed Camp Houston and Ed Camp Waller. And Hootsuite is a big one for him, and that's the one that he likes to share that people should use the most. And so I pretty much trust Matt Gomez. He's a smart guy, and he runs KinderChat. So that's always a good thing. That's always a good thing to listen to the people that have been there running the chat. So now, Matt's been doing KinderChat for a while.
Now we're looking at TweetDeck, and I can see here, and I use TweetDeck too. But John, take us through this. You can see everybody's column based off of what? Their hashtag, their name, their breakfast. What do you got here?
Well, all right. So here I'll go to mine very quickly. So if on mine, I don't have it set up very nicely, but what it has is I just have kind of a few because I like to keep it simple. But over here is just my regular old home timeline right here, and so I can get all that and watch that come in. And then here's anybody that's interacted with me so that I can keep track of people that have mentioned me on Twitter. You can see that there's Jeff and Sam right there probably calling me names. And here's direct. I have a column for direct messages, and then I have my favorite column over here. But the one that Matt Gomez and I are gonna try and start is the one called TX Idea. And so what we had thought was we have a text ed chat, but a lot of times for text ed chat, it's turned into a lot of administrators that talk about a lot of policies in Texas, because you know that Texas is trying to secede from the union. I hope that's not a news flash to everyone, but Texas is trying to secede from the union. So what they need to do is we need to go ahead and the administrators need to band together and kind of try and stop silly policies in education from going and happening. So what Matt Gomez and I are going to try and do is we're going to try, and we love for some other people in Texas to join with us, and we would like to not be the only two, but we're going to try this text idea so that there's just simple ideas to use in the classroom right away, maybe something to try for next week. And I think we're going to put the chat on Sundays as well, maybe a little bit earlier in the day, so that people can come in with some ideas maybe when they're lesson planning.
Cool. That's awesome.
Does anybody else have a favorite Twitter client or favorite Twitter app?
Well, I like TweetDeck too. It just is, Hootsuite's just kind of cumbersome. I had to use Hootsuite at school because everything else was blocked, and it was my back door into the Twitter world during school. But I was curious why you think TweetDeck's going to go away.
I thought I had heard that TweetDeck was having a problem a while back with just Twitter trying to tighten up the grip on their tweets and trying to be the Twitter client of choice. And I thought I saw that the guy I think I had gotten an email from him and said, I've really tried, but I'm going to just kind of quit going ahead and supporting this, and I think it's dissolving on a few platforms. I'll have to look up the article where I saw that, but I think that's run across my Scoop It feed a few times, and I think that they're going to quit support in early May, is what I heard. Which is a shame. I really like it, but I'll try and find that then. I'll make sure I'm not just spreading rumors here, but I promise you I think I've seen that. So
I think
I'll look it up.
John, what you're talking about is that they're going to start kind of doing away with the download desktop versions, because Twitter bought TweetDeck. They own it now. And so they really want to push it to be a web-based platform. They are going to kind of stop the development for the downloadable version onto Mac, PC, and they really want people just to access their platform via tweetdeck.com. So I don't think it's necessarily going away. But the way we use it, I really don't like web-based platforms. That's why I don't like Hootsuite. They may have a download. I don't care. I really don't like Hootsuite anyway. But I just don't like having to go to a website to be on my platform. I like it to be in my dock where I can just click on it and everything's good. But that's just me being picky.
You know, one of the neat things about being...
And I want to say that I also trust Jeff Herb as well. I trust Matt Gomez, but I also trust Jeff Herb and other people.
Yeah, no, they definitely... I mean, you're pretty much right. They are discontinuing the development of their downloadable platform because they want to really kind of strip it down to be just like a basic level tweet platform, and that's going to be web-based. So that's at least what the thing came out. I read about that like a week or so ago.
You know, one of the neat parts about doing a live show, and of course we're here live every single Sunday at 7 o'clock, is that we have audience participation. We just had somebody who's watching the live show who's at Peg Matt. I want to say hello out there and thank you for supporting us and watching the show. She says she also loves TweetDeck. And we also have another question coming in here, basically asking what kind of Twitter clients would you recommend for mobile devices? Is TweetDeck just as good desktop as it is mobile?
You know, I don't use TweetDeck on my mobile. I'm pretty sure there's an app. I don't even have it downloaded if there is.
It is.
I particularly like, let me get it up here, Tweetbot. Tweetbot is one that I've really started to enjoy. It's not free. I'll give you that disclaimer. It is not a free app. I can throw it up on the screen here in just a second once I get my bearings straight here.
I want to just say the one that I was showing was that's actually the Chrome extension for TweetDeck, what I was showing off to.
Cool. So this is Tweetbot. It's just a really clean design. On the left-hand side, you can manage multiple Twitter accounts, which is really nice by just tapping on your name. On the left, you have your timeline, your mentions, messages. You can just easily go through them, and it shows all that good stuff. And it just kind of flows in. You can double tap, and it just really takes advantage of the gestures that are available on the iPad and the iPhone. I use Tweetbot on both the iPad and the iPhone. It's the only one that I've used a lot of them. I used Tweetcaster. I used the native Twitter app, Twitterific, and I've landed on Tweetbot in the end. And so I put them all up here just so you can see them. But it just seems to be the cleanest and most stable, and I've really gotten to love it. Especially, let me see if I can find one that has a response to it.
Jeff, while you're looking, we do have a comment for you from the live broadcast tonight at TeacherCast TV.
Yikes.
The Twitter handle is @WakaPuppet, and they're saying that you have a very sexy iPad emulator there.
Oh, thanks. Yeah, this is a reflector for anyone who is interested in doing something like this. You get to use the app for free for 10 minutes just to see if it works on your system. It's $15 after that, but it is single-handedly one of the best apps I've ever purchased. I use it constantly, and it's so easy. I mean, it's just using AirPlay, and it just AirPlays right up to your computer, and you can show off anything that's going on your iPad. So it works for iPad, iPhone, and it's fantastic. So that's a nice little aside there. For that. So thanks for sharing that.
Jeff, one of the neat parts also about doing a live show is that we can bring on other people from around the world to ask questions. Let me see if I can bring in a video screen.
Uh-oh.
I'm nervous.
Walk of the Puppet is going.
Yes, actually we have remoting in here from Palo Alto. We have Waka the Puppet, and I believe that is the Twitter handle @WakaPuppet. Waka, welcome to the Tech Educator Podcast. I believe this is the first really remote that we've had. Waka, how are you doing today?
I'm doing really well, Jeff. I appreciate the connection.
And do you have a question about Twitter or building a PLN, or is there such thing as a PLN for puppets?
Well, we're not really supposed to talk about the Puppet Liberation Network, but we're an underground network of plush from one continent to the next, working to liberate puppets from unfair working conditions.
Now, Waka, before you go on, I want to just encourage you and all other puppets to stick around after this show. Coming up in only 25 minutes, we do have the 21st Century EdChat, and I believe it is puppet accessible, isn't it, Jill?
Yes, it is.
Now, David, do you do topics in the 21st Century EdChat that are pro-puppet?
I don't know. I'm just wondering if this was the first time a puppet's been on a Google Hangout.
No.
No, every week in our show.
No, you've never watched the show here, have you, David?
Yeah, you need to watch the back episodes there, David.
But we do have a topic suggestion box on our website, so if he wants to contribute to that, we will put his topic in the list and see if he gets enough votes for the week.
Now,
I'll just pick it out with my nose.
Waka, is there anybody else there in the room that has a question for the panel?
Nobody you want to talk to. David, these puppets have been cut out of more podcasts than you've probably been on.
Hey, Waka, the first rule of the Puppet Liberation Network is you don't talk about the Puppet Liberation Network, correct?
Is Stuart there with you? Oh, God, I'm in trouble.
Yeah, where's Stuart been, actually?
He's on a timeout, an extended timeout.
Twitter jail?
Twitter jail, exactly.
It's so much worse than Twitter jail.
I noticed your accent's changing a little bit.
It's the air here.
I think I need to make up a lower third for Waka.
Yeah, that's good.
Hey, I do want to say, as long as we have a moment of just levity here, I do want to say that the way I use hashtags is when my wife was giving birth about 8 months ago to my fourth child, I actually made a hashtag called Baby Sammy, and we live tweeted the birth, and then I storified the whole thing. So now if I go back, I can go back and I have a little chronicle of what was happening, and that's what I did. Seriously.
I have a question for you, John. Was this pre-planned, or was this spur of the moment? While the action was happening, you said, "Wait a minute, honey, I have to tweet about this"?
No, it was we knew that we were going in because she had to be induced, and so I said, you know what? I think I'm just going to live tweet this thing and storify it, just and capture it for old time's sake. And so that's what we did. So right there, I started it right away and took little pictures and snapshots here and there, and that's what we have. Cool. No actual birth snapshots, more like me going, "Where's the baby? Here's me at Subway. I'm still waiting. What's going on?" But yeah, that's what we did. It was fun.
Did you just wait at Subway the whole time?
No, I had to
Still
go
at
eat lunch at Subway.
Subway.
Yeah, Subway was my last meal as a father of 3, and now as a father of 4. It's just that now I wish I could go to Subway.
We have
I can't
another.
even afford it.
Forward 10 years, and you've got. Oh, let's take a look again at what you were doing while our child was being born.
Oh my God, Sam, I wouldn't be surprised if you just made that one, like since the show started.
Jill, how are you doing so far?
I'm doing good. I'm glad I have another female on here with me.
Remember, this show is video and audio, and you can, of course, find us at the TeacherCast Podcasting Network and live every Sunday at 7 o'clock at TeacherCast.tv. Sam, does that thing have dreadlocks?
Kind of. Tina's got hair that's a little pink, yeah.
I'd like to know if the process that John used to name his child is the same process that you used to name your puppets.
Did John take a picture of his child and put it out on Twitter and say, "What should I call this thing"?
No,
he might.
I actually named my son Adam Nathaniel after MCA, the Beastie Boy that passed away, since I'm a big Beastie Boy fan. And my first son's name is Michael Jordan Samuelson, being from Chicago. Represent. There we go. So there's where I get my inspiration from: celebrities and sports people. True story. See, now Jeff does nothing to say to that. What do you say to that? I don't know.
I'm sorry, we're all typing about puppets. We're sorry.
Yes, there's a whole side chat that will not go on the broadcast about
Right.
puppets.
Yeah, my part of it is, how do we get off the puppet topic? Oh, God.
I didn't bring the puppets up.
I'm kidding. It's a good topic.
Nice.
But Jill, you have something you wanted to talk about regarding lists and PLN?
Yeah, that was one of the ways I started my PLN when I first started Twitter. Is I would make, I would subscribe certain people to different lists. So I made like a North Carolina educators list. I made my own school district list. I made education guru list, and subscribed to other people's list as well, so that I could kind of gear who I wanted to follow.
That's cool. Yeah, I mean, once you get up to a point where you are following a ton of people just because you are becoming seasoned on Twitter and you've had a lot of interactions and you've met a lot of people either at conferences or through the hashtag chats. I mean, I think lists are essential to be able to still maintain, that kind of communication with the people that you consider yourself more close with on Twitter. At least that's how I do it on TweetDeck or Tweetbot, whichever one I'm using at the time. I always have a couple of lists open right next to my main feed, just so I can keep track of the people that either have been guests on my podcast or are people that I interact with regularly, just to have a better interaction with them too. So, I definitely agree that lists are really important. And John, you're doing something with lists with Techlandia, right?
Yes, I was going to ask Jill. So, Jill, do you use just the regular client on Twitter for lists then? Is that how you share them out? Is that the easiest way you found?
Yes, it's the only way. I guess I never looked too far into it.
All right, but I have the list that I've made, and so sometimes I was actually going to make a list tonight because at the Ed Camp they had a butcher paper where everybody put in their Twitter handle, and so I was going to actually make one for the people that attended Ed Camp Waller. But we also on our podcast we feature 3 Twitter people to follow, and we actually went onto Pinterest and just pinned their profile to Pinterest, and that's also a good way just to get it to more of the masses, because sometimes I've found on the Twitter client so I use the regular Twitter client, and sometimes the list that I've populated won't show up on the mobile version, but they'll show up on the computer version. And so I found that to be kind of hard when you're at an ed camp and you're trying to show people lists, and only 2 of them will show up on their iPad version. But if they were on their computer, all of the lists are right there. I don't understand why that happened. So just to get around that a little bit, we did make Pinterest boards, and Listly is also another creative way that you can put people on there that we like to use as well.
I think that lists, especially when you're trying to build your PLN, can be an amazing tool. And I've found that if I find a user like John, who's very active on Twitter and organizes people into lists and such, and I look at his lists, I can actually, whichever list he's made public, I can have full access to those and just go on a follow party and literally go down the list and follow. There have been times where I'll follow 50, 75, 100 people at a time, just boom, 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 straight down the row.
And you don't get sent to jail for that?
Well, that hasn't put me in jail yet, but, you know...
I know there's a thing. The reason I'm saying that is I know there's a rule on Twitter where if you unfollow X amount at one time, they stop you from that. Like, you can't just go in and unfollow 5,500 people.
Well, I know that, like, there's the unfollow apps and that kind of stuff, and they'll time those out for you for specifically that reason, right?
Exactly. That is actually the reason there, is because when you do that, Twitter doesn't like just unfollowing everybody. So...
Does there also, I'm just going to ask this for my friend Allison. Allison is a pretty big Twitter user, but she has about like 1,500 or 1,600 followers, but they won't let her go over 2,000 people that she's following, and she thinks that once she crosses 2,000 that she can follow more than 2,000. Is that an absolute rule? Does anybody know?
I have heard that before, yes.
Okay.
Yeah, Twitter wants you to be very, very good and very, very even. They don't want you to, you know, and it's hard for people that have like 10,000 followers but don't want to follow 10,000 people. Right, Jeff?
And vice versa. I mean, they restrict how many people you can follow, so you're not just mass following and not providing back to the community. That's something that they care a lot about too. So
right.
They don't want accounts on there that are just following 100,000 people that, you know, don't really tweet out and don't engage with the people that they're trying to interact with. So they have put in restrictions for that too.
It's really too bad for somebody like Allison who really wants to follow more people, and then she has to go and pick people to unfollow until she gets up to a certain point, because she's a very active Twitter user, and like I said, she's my co-host on Techlandia, but she's also in charge now of the Getting Smart blog, is her new job right now. And I mean, that's a pretty nice position to have, and the fact that she can't follow anybody unless she unfollows someone's kind of sad, I think.
Yeah, and you know, I have thought about in the past, I'm wondering, you know, what would happen, what would the community look like if that wasn't there? And there must be a reason that was put into effect, because I wouldn't have thought about that as a normal restriction. So something must have happened, or some sort of spam must have taken place to an extent where they needed to restrict that. But you're absolutely right. I mean, it really punishes the people that are using it for good.
But they don't.
But I wonder how bad it would be if they didn't.
But those are rules obviously don't apply to everybody. I mean, Justin Bieber doesn't follow 10 million people.
Yeah.
That's true.
So we hope. He can barely contain himself right now. Yeah, so if anybody wants to follow Ted Rose Ceci, that's Ted Rose CECI. She's in charge of the Getting Smart blog and a great educator, and I think you should follow her and get her to 2,000 so she can follow some more people.
Nice.
And that dog agrees with me.
Nice.
Yeah.
You know, we're getting up to the top of the hour here, and at 8 o'clock Eastern, 9 o'clock Central every day on every week on Sundays, we have the 21st Century EdChat. David and Jill, talk to us a little bit about, again, how do we choose the topics? How do we participate? And for those who are watching the show right now on TeacherCast.tv, what is the topic for tonight?
Jill, go ahead.
We're going to be talking about TPAC, which is Technology, Pedagogy, and Content Knowledge, along with SMAR, which is Substitution, Argumentation, Modification, and Redefinition. Yeah. Both of those are different frameworks to help design classroom with technology instruction so it's more seamless and not a separate entity.
And I just put up our website here, 21stedchat.com, and you can see our suggestion box, and it's just a simple box. Tell us what you want to talk about and hit submit. And then I've shut off our chat for tonight, but it's just a simple Google form that has all our lists in it of topics, and we vote each week, and the one that gets the most will get talked about that night. One week we did have a tie, so we just made a double. We did one week and one the next.
Nice. And of course, you can use the Twitter hashtag 21STCHAT, correct?
ED in there.
21st EdChat, absolutely. Guys,
and then, if you're interested in participating in that, we didn't really cover it that much. I think my screen was accidentally up there a little bit earlier. A great tool to participate in Twitter chats is a website called tweetchat.com. It's really simple. You just log into your Twitter account through their authentication, and then put in the hashtag right up here. You just do STED and hit go, and it loads it up. And we'll show in real time what's happening on that hashtag. The really nice thing is you can interact right in the message box up top. You can type your tweet and hit update, and it will automatically add the hashtag at the end of your tweet. And the number up here that shows you how many characters are remaining already reflects the hashtag being added in there. So that's pretty cool. Definitely the tool that I use to participate in Twitter chats, just to kind of make it a little bit more manageable for what's going on. So definitely check out tweetchat.com if you're interested in joining in on a Twitter chat.
And the neat part about that tweet chat, Jeff, is that you can actually embed that into another website. I know I've used TweetChat a lot on TeacherCast and other websites that I've built, because it actually allows you to embed all of that stuff and keep your own branding, keep your own website going on. So definitely is there. That is a really sexy emulator, wouldn't you say, Sam?
Oh, yeah.
Well, that's the other nice thing. TweetChat works great on the iPad like I'm showing here, and it works awesome on the iPhone too. So there's plenty of times where you can just be sitting somewhere in a meeting, probably paying attention to something else you should be, but I'm getting more out of whatever hashtag chat I'm on. So I have not been shy of doing that in the past. So it works great on all platforms, TweetChat. It is a responsive website. It'll scale down to whatever device you are using. So check it out.
Nice.
Cool.
Well, guys, I think we need to stop a little bit earlier today, because I definitely want to make sure that Jill and David get everything set up for their chat. David, give us a little bit more about where we can find you online and what your Twitter account is.
Mine Twitter is @dprindle. It's pretty simple. It's my first initial and my last name. And I'm not fancy with trying to be, have a special handle, just because when I first got on, that's what I use for most of my accounts, and so it works. And I have my website's davidprindle.com, and I'm in the process of populating that. I use it for class, and then I also use it for presentations and trainings. So I'm trying to make my digital environment for students, parents, and the outside world.
Nice. And Jill, talk to us a little bit about where we can find you.
I am at edu_Thompson, and that's the one I used for 21st Ed Chat, but then I also have one that's at CMS_Jill T, which is one that I do for all my Charlotte Mecklenburg tweet outs, what we're doing, and then I have one for Edulum LLC as well.
And Sam,
I'm following you both now too. Just
Thank you.
John, what's happening at Techlandia this week?
so nothing much more. We're gonna do administrator chat, and I will try and keep my mouth shut and be on good behavior for administrator chat. But I do have that whole thing, being a teacher for 17 years. Administrators, to me, it's hard to find some good ones, but we have some good ones on Techlandia, so hopefully we'll get some good answers.
And Sam, Puppet Chat this week?
No Puppet Chat this week. Hopefully upcoming soon, maybe. We're going to be talking with Rebecca Wildman about iTunes University, and we continue to have a lot of buzz over the voice comments app for Google Doc that we were lucky enough to help share with the world last week.
Nice. And Jeff, instructionaltechtalk.com.
Yeah, just what we talked about a little bit earlier. Excited to release the podcast that you and I both did together. Share it out to TeacherCast and to the Instructional Tech Talk community. And then we're going to be sharing just a few more articles this week with some new tech tools that are being released. So excited to share those out as well.
Nice. And there's a lot of great stuff, again, happening at TeacherCast. And I want to speak for everybody here and say, if there's one thing that you can do wonderful for us, it's go over to iTunes. And it doesn't matter if it's Windows or PC. And this just happens to be a screen of the TeacherCast podcast. But certainly we would love to have you do the same for Techlandia and also for Instructional Tech Talk. And, Jeff and John put out some amazing shows. And so I think between all of us, there are more than 200 podcast episodes for your enjoyment and for your PLN building. But the one thing that we really enjoy when people do is they come over here to where it says ratings and reviews. And right here, there's a top bar that says click to rate. And we love it when you click on that 5-star rating. It is one of the best ways that you can reach out and say thank you to those who are making podcasts, is to give them a 5-star rating. And if you have a moment, we also love it when you come on down here and you write a review. Doesn't matter if it's good, doesn't matter if it's bad, but any reviews are good reviews. iTunes will rank podcasts higher with more user activity. Not necessarily more subscribers, but it's due to more user activity. And I think that's all the time we have today for the Tech Educator Podcast. Thank you so much for joining us. My name again is Jeff Bradbury from TeacherCast.net, saying have a great week and enjoy your time with your students. Until next week at 7 o'clock, see you later, guys.
See ya.